Preston Gunderson, welcome to Let's Have a Snack.
Thanks for having me, Corey. Happy to be here.
So Preston, when you were growing up, was there like a food item or maybe specifically like a vegetable that you were forced to eat that you grew to love now? Was there something you didn't like back then that you like now?
That's a good question. Growing up, my older brother was a really picky eater. He didn't like anything. He ate like pretty much white foods, like mashed potatoes, white bread, buttered noodles. That was my brother. And then I came along and I literally ate everything.
They didn't have trouble with getting you to eat your peas.
I think they were real happy after my brother would, throw everything off the dinner plate onto the floor or in the garbage. So
cool.
I was easy that way.
Well, where I'm going with this, so the one thing that I grew up being forced to eat that I just never got over was peas. Man, I just do not like peas. However, the plot thickens. Our wonderful technology manager, John Summer, turned me on to these Sriracha flavored peas. Now I like peas all of a sudden. I don't know what's happening to me. It's messing with me. So I don't know what they do with these. I'll let you try them. They're really crunchy, so I'm assuming they're deep fried.
Okay.
They have to be, right? So they're called chili garlic flavored green peas, Sriracha flavors by a brand called Happy Snacks. Would you like to try them?
I would love to, and I love spicy foods. So.
All right, I'm gonna give you a couple. So here's
now this isn't a joke, right? These aren't those extremely hot things where I'm
like
gonna,
the one baked chip challenge. I wouldn't do that to you.
Thank you.
I wouldn't do that to you. You're from the Iron Range.
Yes.
Okay, that's really interesting to me and what relates to why there's a crock pot sitting on my table here. You've been here for about a half hour. I can no longer contain myself. It smells so amazing. Talk about the Iron Range and specifically what you brought here today.
Yeah, well, I grew up in Virginia, Minnesota, and my dad worked in a mine for 41 years, and my mom was a touring musician. And so my mom toured, met my dad, and they settled down up on the range. And so what I brought for you today is a traditional kind of like Iron Range dish called porketta. It's basically a pork roast, and then it's seasoned in a way where it was all these different people, these people who came for work, to work in the mines, they kind of came together.
Comfort food thing.
Yeah,
right.
And they kind of infused all these different traditions and made this porketta version.
Let's dish it up. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
I'll let you kind of hook me up here.
All right.
If you want to just put some in a bowl
Let
there
me do
for
that.
me. I'm gonna just set this aside. God, that smells good. So is this something, while you're doing this, is this something you do just like a couple times a year? How often are you eating this?
It kind of depends, because I will, go up.
Thank you,
and,
sir.
absolutely.
Thank you.
I'll go up and I will try to essentially grab a porketta from the range, because it's just what you're accustomed to, those certain flavors. And there are some great meat shops down here that will do a porketta in the same kind of style, but there's something like, when you're tasting something familiar from home and it's comfort. Yeah, it's comfort food. It's always a humbling thing to remember where you're from.
Right.
And so I'm always grateful when I get to go home, see familiar faces, talk to familiar people, and just remember what it was like growing up.
Yeah.
So.
This is incredible, by the way. I'm so happy right now. This
Cheers.
is making me so happy. Yeah, cheers. So before you sat down, we were talking about this. This is something that you would normally put on like a Kaiser roll or like a bun. What kind of a bread platform are we talking here?
Yeah, generally my mom would make these really soft white buns. I'm not exactly sure what they'd be called, but put them in the
bread.
Yeah, it's a nice soft bread, and then the key for us that we always did is we'd make a sour cream horseradish sauce, and so you kind of mix that together, put that on the bun, put the porketta on, and eat it just like that, as like a slider almost. And that's the way I love it, because I think sometimes people are like, oh, maybe you should slather cheese on it or do whatever. And
Yeah.
I kind of think that it would almost take away from like the,
Don't mess with it.
yeah,
Don't mess with my porchetta.
I'm a little natural. I'm a naturalist there. So.
Right. Yeah, you take your Swiss cheese and put it somewhere else, buddy. I don't want no Swiss cheese on this. Well, Preston, this is unbelievable. Thank you so much. Cheers. Thank you for bringing
Cheers.
this.
Thank you for having me.
Preston, this was killer. I'm not just saying that. Thank you so much. The porchetta was fantastic. And more importantly, your passion for the Iron Range. And I feel like you transported me to the Iron Range. And this is definitely not going to be the last time I'm going to be having this. So as soon as we're done, send me that recipe.
You bet.
So for those that are unfamiliar, I'm sure a lot of people that'll be watching this know who you are, but you are a very talented local singer, songwriter. You're almost like annoyingly talented. Like, can you settle down a little bit? You're making the rest of us look bad. Totally kidding. Keep doing what you're doing, because I think you're a killer dude, and you're very, you know, we're going to get into guitar here in just a second, but talk about what you're up to right now. And, you know, what was your experience as kind of a local musician during COVID, the pandemic? How did that affect you, you know, playing shows, writing music? What's going on?
Yeah, 2020 was certainly a really challenging time when the world shut down, essentially, and it was for so many. But for me, I think I had 88 gigs on the books at that time, and just knowing that they were all gone, and it was kind of like, well, what am I gonna do? And so I had an idea. I would do a live stream every week, and I'd do it on Thursday nights, and you could request songs, and then if I didn't play it that night, you could come back the next night, and then I'd play it for you, and it was all based on like tips, like if anyone wanted to donate, and then I would take 25% of my earnings and donate to a local nonprofit or a charity, and I did that for a year straight. 52 weeks,
wow,
every Thursday.
Wow.
And people were so generous and so kind.
Yeah.
And we were able to give back to wonderful organizations like Movember, No Kid Hungry, some local nonprofits like Youth Frontiers, and a sizable amount too, which it helped make me feel like I was doing something productive as well.
Yeah.
And then my passion project for 2020 was I went into the studio with some of my friends, and we did some cover videos, and we did some original videos, some older songs of mine, some newer songs at the time, and we got these really neat videos, and I call it live at creation, because we did at Creation Audio.
I share the love of guitar with you. You are a person who uses the guitar like a carpenter, like a tool. I use it like a buffoon and plugs into an amp and makes my wife very angry with the new fuzz pedal that I bought. But I love guitar. I'm obsessed with it. I'm not in a band. I love to play. I love to learn riffs and stuff. But you use it as an actual tool. The guitar is a wonderful, versatile instrument.
Yeah.
Where are you at with guitar? Do you just have a couple that you're like, hey, this is all I need?
Yeah.
You know, I have a mission. You know, they say that it's not the gear. It's the skill and the practice and really the heart behind it. And I totally feel that that's true. I'm kind of a gearhead myself. I love it. Are you a gearhead? Do you just use guitars as tools? Where are you at with that?
Great question. Well, I have a lot of friends who are gearheads, and I tend to be a little bit of a naturalist. Like, for me, as an artist, the way I am moved by another musician, especially, is how are they performing, and what are they doing, and ultimately, the less bells and whistles. If you can move me, then I'm like, wow.
So Preston, it'd be really weird if I got you here and I did not talk about The Voice in American Idol. You know, obviously you didn't make it to the end, but I don't think that's the important story there. I think the important story is your passion and that you got there. Briefly, what was your experience doing American Idol and The Voice?
Yeah, you know, oftentimes when people hear that, they're like, you did both? And it's like, yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. When I was 21 and in college, I signed up online, and next thing you know, they're like, what airport do you want to get picked up at? And I was like,
what?
Hibbing, and they were like, where the heck is Hibbing? And they were like, okay, Minneapolis, we'll pick you up there.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately with both of those shows, as you said, they didn't go the way I'd hoped. And as a young kid, you know, whose dreams feel like they're right there, it was really disheartening. And oftentimes I asked myself, am I good enough, or should I be doing this, or maybe it's not right? And but the silver lining to all those experiences, it's the people I met.
Yeah.
I met people that love music just as much as I did, that were super passionate, that had immense talent, and I think ultimately, you know, music is art, and so to kind of be like something's better than something is kind of this weird Western philosophy, I think.
Totally.
But
totally.
I just have so much, you know, I admire all of those people I met, and so many of them have gone on to do incredible things, from you know, being nominated on Netflix television shows to doing we're getting hot here.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll turn the porketta down. We're starting to bubble over here.
Yeah, we don't want to screw up your porketta.
But so many of them are achieving great milestones, and I think it's cool to feel like you belong in that kind of ethos with those people at one time or another.
Right.
And I've found that I've become just like such good friends with so many of the people that I was on the show with, and it's so fun to keep up with the music they're making, the movies they're making, the things that they're doing, because so many of them were so talented. But that was probably my favorite part.
Yeah.
And
well, I wanted to bring it up because, you know, if you don't mind me jumping in real quick, because you know, there's a travel writer, there's a book I'm reading, and he talks about the ultimate souvenir as a broader perspective. Yeah. You know, and he relates it to traveling, and you know, traveling doesn't always mean vacation, right? It could just be an experience. You're gaining wisdom. So, you know, if you go on vacation, you don't have a good time. Well, you know, as long as you know, learn something from it, you gain some relationships, you had a great experience. You know, that's how I feel with your journey to American Idol and Voice. Is that kind of how you're feeling with that?
Totally. I mean, the journey was part of it, and so many lessons learned. And you know, you walk into a room with all this talent, and it's easy to kind of have imposter syndrome too. But I think the growth I've had from the heartbreak and from, you know, not doing as well as I'd like, it was really a humbling thing, and it really helped me kind of grow and see myself and my value, and you know, what I do is different than what somebody else does, and I think that's beautiful, you know.
Preston, this is all fantastic. Before I let you go, I got to ask you something. Friend of the show, Jimmy Good, we were talking.
Yeah.
You're more of like a soft-spoken musician. You have a great thing going. We don't want to corrupt that in any way. Don't get involved with me. I will ruin you. But if you ever want to collaborate on some fuzzy heavy metal riffs, Jimmy wants to know, would you ever make like a heavy metal or a rock and roll song?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
I'm
Good,
down.
excellent.
Let's go.
All right, good to know.
We'll have some fun with it.
Yeah, well, don't get worked up too much with us. Well, again, we will ruin you. So after you leave today, stay clear. Don't ever talk to me again, because I will bring you down. Now, joking, I would love to collaborate with you at something. That would be a lot of fun. But until then, thanks again. This was a lot of fun. I'll play us out with some fuzzy riffs, and then again, stick around to the end. We're gonna play one of Preston's recent videos. So thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Corey.
but it all just stays the same. And it feels so strange, like a late December rain, trying to make sense of it all. Maybe what's not there anymore. And I look around for familiar sights. And I see the bad, never what's right. Well, there's an emptiness, emptiness, emptiness again. This bottle only eases the pain. And it feels so strange, like a late December rain, trying to make sense of it all. Maybe what's not there. Take a sip of that poison. You'll forget all you ever wanted. Take a sip of that poison. You'll forget all you ever wanted. Take a sip of that poison. You'll forget all you ever wanted.